Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Iron Savior, Skycrest, out December 4th on AFM Records. This album has 12 tracks, 56 minutes in length, and this is the band's 13th full-length studio album. The German power metal powerhouse is back with a brand new record. You can expect powerful songs, high-octane tracks, a lot of driven riffs, and a very well-balanced record top to bottom. That's pretty much the key word for this record, is balanced. Now, as far as structure is concerned, I like what they did there, alternating styles, alternating tracks in a very creative way, going from power metal driven songs to more classic heavy metal tracks, throwing in a ballad here and there, always keeping the listener on the edge, not necessarily giving you a roadmap. You don't really know what the next song is going to bring, and that is very important in order to keep the listener engaged with the record. This album has 12 songs, is 56 minutes in length. It's a long album. You don't want to go through stretches where all the songs sound or feel exactly the same. Would make the album very repetitive, very redundant, and you don't want that. You want things to change. You want the listener to always be on the lookout for what the next song is going to be like, what it's going to bring, how different it's going to be from the one that you're currently in, and that's exactly what this album does. But having said that, it's still very balanced, and that approach is very balanced in the overall soundscape that it has across all 12 songs and how the construction of the record is put together. And that sound is really the next point of discussion. It's definitely a power metal driven record. Like I said, I wasn't expecting anything else. This is a power metal band, so I was expecting power metal to dominate the overall essence of the soundscape of this record, but there's a lot of classic heavy metal elements at play within this album. When you mix those two worlds, those are not worlds that are far apart from each other, so when you bring them together, it really gives you a much larger palette in order to work with. You're not really confined to just one genre, to one style, to one approach. You can do a lot more with your tracks. You can push the boundaries of those two genres, bring them in together, create songs that become almost hybrids, have a little bit of one and a little bit of the other, overall making the sound experience and the structure of the album a lot more dynamic. Within that sound, you have to talk about the guitars first. They are the drivers of this record. Not only they're the drivers, they are the motor behind this album. They're always looking for the spotlight on every single song. They're not just pushing the songs forward. They're not just giving power, heaviness, and increasing the tempo of the songs. They're always looking to be in the podium. They want to be heard, they want to be seen, and they're always looking for that spotlight. You could see that, you could feel it on every single track, even the songs that are a little bit more melodic, a little bit more stripped down, that don't have the same intensity. You still feel the guitars always searching for that spotlight. So you really feel like this is an album that is pushed forward by the sound of the guitars, on the riffs, on the melodies, on the leads, on the solos. The solos are incredible top to bottom. This is a record that from a guitar playing perspective is extremely consistent and balanced across all 12 songs. What are you going to get in the first song as far as the quality, not necessarily the approach, but as far as the quality is concerned, you're going to get throughout all 12 tracks. There's no dip in quality as far as the sound and specifically as far as the guitars goes. Now, we can talk about the guitars all we want because, like I said, they're really searching for their spotlight and they're really pushing this album forward, so obviously they become almost the main focus of the overall sound that this record has to offer. But we also have to talk about the drums and bass, because without them, you don't have that strong foundation of sound that allows the guitars to push the record forward. The guitars are only as good as they are, they only sound as powerful, as heavy as they do, because of the balance, because of the foundation, because of the roadmap created by the drums and bass. They're definitely creating all the necessary pillars in which you can build upon. You can put the roof of the house upon it and allow the songs to be as strong, as balanced, as unique. This big wall of sound coming at you track after track after track. So we can talk about the guitars, but we cannot shy away from mentioning the drums and bass because they play a huge role, perhaps a secondary role, a role that doesn't allow them to be in the forefront as much as the guitars are, but a very important role nevertheless. Vocals are phenomenal. Another consistent element that this record has to offer, top to bottom. Consistent delivery, consistent tone, consistent range. What you're going to get from the first song is what you're going to get across every single track. And that is an important element, because if you look back at what I said about the structure, the changing in songs, going from a power metal track to a more classic heavy metal song, then moving into a ballad, you're going to have a lot of dynamic changes as far as individual song structure is concerned and overall album structure goes. So you need some consistency across some of the elements of this record in order to keep the album cohesive. One of those consistent elements is the vocals. They are the glue that holds this whole record together. So it doesn't matter where the song is going musically, the vocals are always the same. They always feel very warm, they feel very driven, very penetrating, understanding also the mood and atmosphere that the song has, and then increasing the range or expanding on that range depending on what the mood of the song dictates. Very interesting approach, one that fits perfectly within this record. Now overall, I love this album. I love the strength that it has. I love the power that it has. And if I have to pick a negative on this album, is perhaps the length. 56 minutes is really long, and I really feel that it doesn't hurt the overall playability of the album, but it hurts the fact that it's going to be very hard for a listener to go back and press repeat right after finishing this album, because it's a long journey. It's an album that has a lot of songs, there is a lot to digest, there's a lot to process, and when you're listening to this album for nearly an hour, it's going to be very hard to go back to it right after it. You will go back to it because the quality is undeniable, but you're not going to go back to it right away. So if this album was 40 minutes, 42 minutes, 45 minutes, I think it would help the overall playability. It would make the listener come back for it multiple times in a row, because you would have a feeling of not getting enough of it. In this case, I think you feel satisfied at the end of the record, and you will come back to it. You're just not going to come back to it immediately. So that hurts a little bit of the overall experience that you're going to get from this record. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with Skycrest. Following the intro, this is really the first song on the album, and it's heavy, it's driven. The verses push the track forward, and the chorus is a lot more melodic, a lot more bombastic. The backing vocals in the chorus help that. It helped it make it feel a little bit more hooky, a little bit more catchy, making the song have the right ups and downs as you move from the verses into the chorus, back into the verses, back into the chorus. The solos on this track are outstanding, but that's really a staple across the whole record. But on this track, I felt like they expanded the song. They stretched out the melody, the power, the force that this song had. Overall is really represented on how the solos are coming across with a lot of strength, a lot of power, a lot of direction, making this song very dynamic and giving you a glimpse of what to expect for the rest of the album. This song is a microcosm of how the album is constructed. Next, Hellbreaker, one of my favorite songs on the album. Great wall of sound, very melodic, heavy at times, great guitar sound overall. This song has great guitar sound from beginning all the way to the end. It doesn't matter if you're in the verses or if you're in the chorus. The song always feels like it's building up through the verses, and you know it's going to explode in the chorus, and it does, making it very catchy. Once again, another song that has a very catchy, hooky chorus, more so from the melody that it creates, but also from the vocals and how they're coming across. Once again, using backing vocals adds to that. So this is a track that feels like it's a 10 in the verses, and then somebody turns the knob all the way to 11 in the chorus. That's pretty much how this track comes across. The keyboards in the chorus play an interesting role because they're not in the forefront, they're not really dictating the sound, but they create this underlying melody. It's an incredible layer. The chorus is so layered, it's like a lasagna. There's so many layers in the chorus, and I think that's one of the reasons why that chorus feels so impactful, why it explodes onto the track, making this a very incredible and powerful song all around. Really last, this is the last song on the album, Ode to the Brave. One of the best, if not the best song on the record, and that is to say something. If you have an album with 12 songs, 56 minutes in length, and you leave one of your best, if not your best track for last, it shows how consistent, how balanced this album is from top to bottom, which is something that I've been saying all along on this review. I love this song. I love the power that it has. I love the strength. It's a power metal driven song, top to bottom. This is a song that really doesn't deviate. It's power metal from the beginning all the way to the end. It doesn't matter if you're in the verses, it doesn't matter if you're in the chorus, it doesn't matter when the solo comes in. Everything about this song is powerful. It's a driven, high-octane track. You get that from the sound, you get that from the music, but also from the vocals, how they're delivered, how they're coming at you. The intensity that they have never deviates in 1 single second of this track. Very consistent, very balanced, top to bottom. One of the best, if not the best song to close off this record. This is it. This is Iron Savior with Skycrest, out December 4th on AFM Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.